Hello and welcome. Today I am going to show you how to make an octagon planter just like this guy. This planter is going to be a 24-inch by 24-inch planter. So I went on the internet to try to figure out how big each side needs to be, and basically each side of the frame needs to be 10 inches. So the first thing we're going to do is build our frame. So first thing I'm going to do is get my first cut done. They're all going to be 22.5-degree angles. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip this board back and forth, and that's going to minimize my waste. So I'll flip the board, put my template on there. Now you also want to use the same board over and over. That way if you end up making it a tiny bit smaller each time, you're not going to keep making it smaller and end up with like an 1/8 inch off, in the end. So use the same one every single time, draw your line, get it on there, line it up. And then same thing, flip the board over. And now I'm flipping it back and forth, so I don't have to take the saw back and forth. It's much easier to flip a board than to keep having the saw go back and forth. You're gonna also end up with a much more accurate angle. And also, this is an octagon, so you're gonna need 8 of these. We're gonna do 2 frames, so you're gonna need a total of 16 of these. So now we have all our pieces cut, so now we need to put this together. So what I did, I laid it all out just to make sure everything is correct, everything looks good. For putting it together, what I do, I use a pocket hole drill bit. Now you don't have to use that, you can really use any drill bit that you would like. And I get everything lined up. Then what I'll do is I will try to line it up, so that way the drill bit's gonna end up being in the center going down. So I'm gonna basically make a pilot hole going straight through, just to kind of get me started so it's not gonna go all over. Once that pilot hole is started, I'm gonna twist the bit, I'm gonna hold everything in place. Now you can clamp it as well if you want to, but you can also hold it. I'm just doing a pilot hole. So I'm gonna do that, drill it in. You don't have to go in very far. I basically just want to countersink the bit so that way it's not gonna be in the way for anything. So I'm gonna go in there just a little bit further. Once that is done, I'm gonna put some glue in and screw it together. Now, if it is off by a tiny little bit, as you can see right there, the little point goes past, that's okay. I'm gonna hit it with a sander after I get the whole thing done, just to make sure nothing is off. So for this next part, I'm gonna be putting in the piece that kind of holds everything up in between. So for doing that, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wanna mark where they go. And I'm gonna do this to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. Now, if these frames aren't sitting perfectly level right now, that's okay. Once you get everything screwed together, it will sit that way. So it doesn't really matter where it is. You wanna do basically 4 different sides that are across from each other. And I just basically put this on there, draw a line. And what we're gonna do is label one of them, so that way you know where like a matching point is, and then just kind of rotate around, line it up, get it close, line, line. Do the same thing all the way around on your 4 sides that you're going to be putting these down on. All right, so that's going to give me my points where I can attach. Now I'm going to go back to the first one, put some glue on there. Get everything lined up. And put all 4 of them on. Now find the one that you marked with a special marking, so that way you can make sure that you're at the right place. And screw the top on. Same thing that you did with the bottom. So now we have everything all connected. I went through and I bumped everything with the belt sander to make sure everything lines up perfect. Next thing we're gonna be doing is making the legs. So we're gonna have to go onto the table saw and cut some 22.5-degree angles, so that way everything lines up when we're putting the feet on and make it fit perfect. Now that we have the legs cut, we're gonna be able to attach them onto the frame. So what we're gonna do is get them all lined up, make sure everything works out perfect. Now, one real quick thing, if you wanna really elevate how it looks, I was able to get both of these out of one board with how I cut them. So if you try to keep the pairings together of the board, the grain is gonna wrap right around and make it look much better. So I'm gonna get it all lined up. Nail it on. Now for extra support, one of the things I do is I take another board and I tuck it in behind, and I screw that in as well, and then I'll add in some more brads. And now we're gonna do that all the way around. We have all the legs on, so next step, we are gonna be putting on the piece between the legs. Now, if you got it on there correctly, it should be about a 5-inch gap in between. So I cut a bunch of boards up, and then all I gotta do is nail them on. Try to space them out there evenly. Now, this project should take anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to build if you're doing one at a time. So it's really not too complicated, not too hard. Hardest part in the beginning for me was just figuring everything out, you know, with the angles and everything. But after I did that and I had my sizes, everything was pretty easy. Now the whole exterior is all buttoned up. We're gonna be working on the railing on the top. So I have my boards all cut. This one you're gonna kind of have to play with to figure out what works for you for the overhang. But you're gonna put it on here, and I would definitely dry fit it first, because you're gonna need to adjust it along the way, just because it's not gonna line up perfect, usually on your first shot. So you're gonna get everything laid out, and then you just kind of move it around. Now you could pocket screw it all together. I personally don't like pocket screwing things that are 5/8. I'm sure it's perfectly fine. Just not something I do. So I'm gonna get it all lined up, move the boards around until it's exactly where I want it, and then I'll start pulling them up, put glue underneath, and start nailing it all down. All right, now that is all put on, now the last step is the bottom. All right, so I have the bottom already set in here. The bottom, I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot of trial and error. My bottom is not perfect, but I know that dirt is gonna be going on top of here, so it's not the end of the world, and you want the gaps in there for drainage anyways. So you're gonna be cutting angles at 45 degrees on the inside as opposed to the 22.5 degrees that are on the top and on the outside. That's gonna make everything for a snug fit, and they're gonna be cutting around the beams that you have in there, which it's gonna be different for every application. So it's pretty much just kind of cut some boards, draw some lines, and really just do them one at a time. Take your time, and you know, if you mess up, just grab another board and cut it again. So I have these all laid in here. I'm gonna nail them in and get this one out to the customer, and this one's ready to go.